Salah, I'm asking you to unmute. I want to welcome you to our community. Welcome to F.A.C.E. I'm hoping
guys.
you. Hey, Salah,
welcome.
welcome.
I hope you can hear me and
can hear you, and Happy New Year to you, my friend, my new friend. And the green box lets you share your screen.
Yes, sure. And first of all, thank you so much being invited here. I followed the first time this webinar, and it's really, really informative. I'm actually started as a Forex trader, of course, and still be favorable with Forex, of course. And this is the webinar that I will definitely join, not the last time. So it's really, really interesting. Really nice, interesting ideas, which I really love. And this is what I want to share with you, first of all.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, any referral from my prior guests like Mandy, I always extend the invitation. And I want to take you back in a time machine, Salah, because I know where you're at right now. You're out of Germany. You're with IG. You said you used to focus on FX. Why don't we go back to perhaps what was your first position in the trading business or investing business, and tell us about your origins and how you ended up from point A to point B. Just a little bit about that.
Yes, of course. So just like you said, I am living in Germany. I am the head of markets at IG for Germany, for the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Austria. So actually here in the central of Europe. I'm trading more than 15 years now. This is my experience that I have. I started actually with trading a stock, which is Infineon in Germany, which is almost 15 years ago. Starting really with no experience. I didn't have any person that was already involved in trading that I know. So I really started from the beginning. Step by step, I also was interested in economics. I studied economics. I have a master's degree in economics with specific on quantitative methods and capital market theory. So this was something that I wanted to gather more information about, not just because to get a degree for myself in trading, because I always recommend to everybody who is listening here or who is starting to trade, education is the key, and you need to really take out the greed out of you and start to learn. There are paper accounts. You can visit webinars like this wonderful webinar where you can learn and start to get your own ideas. A lot of people are starting to copy and trade other people, and this is what we experienced. Of course, everybody of us, this is not the best way. Get your own way and learn. I had so much time. I'm still learning and trading. Everybody of us it's a never ending
endeavor.
Story. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the success gets better and better.
So let me ask you, Salah, did you have any mentors or any books or anything that really influenced you? And how long would you say it took you to become at least, where you felt like you could earn a living off the market? Because a lot of people, that's their dream, is to just trade for a living. And people have asked me, Dale, can I trade for a living with 10,000? And I said, yes, if you want to live beneath an underpass. So why don't you tell us about who influenced you? And then I want to get into something proprietary that you've come up with, kind of the Salah Dean Bollinger Bands, which you call the Bouhmidi Bands, right? So how long did it take you to become a decent trader to where you were starting to be consistent?
First of all, my mentor was just the technical analysis. I didn't have a personal mentor, but I'm still a technical analyst, and I love to trade patterns. We have seen the webinar now today, a lot of nice triangles, trading ranges, everything what I use as well, and what I recommend as well to learn and
use it. Actually, the book, which was my mentor, was John Murphy's technical analysis. Of course, this is, I think, a must be and a must have for everybody who wants to learn technical analysis. Then, of course, Schwager, seasonality, seasonal patterns was something what I really was interested in. And today I'm a conditional trader. So going forward, I was, of course, seeking a new approach in volatility trading. And this is the fact why I created the Bouhmidi Bands. We have a lot of indicators, from Bollinger to RSE to moving averages, everything really good practical indicators. But what I was feeling like, where is the implied volatility? There's no indicator who was, taking into account the applied volatility, kind of. And my approach was creating a kind of Bollinger Bands. I met Bollinger also in Switzerland and talked about my ideas, which he really motivated me and said it's a good idea. So I started to say, look, could we create a kind of Bollinger Bands, not with historical volatility, with implied volatility, meaning taking the VIX or taking the VDAX in Germany, taking for gold traders the F.A.C.E, which is the gold price volatility, for WTI. So there are a lot of underlyings where you could apply the implied volatility on a bandwidth. This is what I do. Maybe I already shared my screen, and I think pictures show more than 1,000 words, definitely.
Yeah, you do.
And on TradingView, this is maybe one example for the DAX. It's already implemented by me here in TradingView. You can see the lower Bouhmidi band and the upper Bouhmidi band for each day. And
so the major difference between Bollinger Bands and Bouhmidi Bands is it's not past volatility, it's implied volatility.
Correct.
That's the difference.
This is the major difference that we see and have, of course, and which is by calculation, of course, the biggest difference between Bollinger and Bouhmidi Bands. But really nice is also a combination, because if I would just put the Bollinger Bands into this chart, you would have the historical and the applied volatility. And we know from scientific papers, what I also tested, the implied volatility always overstates the historical volatility on historical view. So we could also see some mean reversion, finding some stops. I say always the Bouhmidi bands, the upper and lower band, are invisible support and resistance that we don't see if we just use technical analysis or fundamental analysis or just price action. So we can identify some really nice levels. And this is what I always say. You have three scenarios with the Bouhmidi bands. Either we are testing the band like we did today, and at the end we close in the bandwidth. So this bandwidth is 86%. Maybe just showing you something really interesting. Here is the calculation. Just saying for one day, what I actually theoretically say is today in the S&P 500, I'm gonna expect that the S&P 500 is going to close within 3,800 and 3,711. So for a probability with 86%, I'm gonna say that we're gonna close in this bandwidth. For 95%, we're gonna have a much bigger bandwidth. And why I do this is just because I have three scenarios, Dale, really easy. Either we test the band and we go back, we can see it historically a lot of times. Either we don't see any movements to the band, so we close within the bandwidth almost maybe 6, 7, 8 days in a row, doesn't matter. Or we see a mean reversion like that day that we really see harsh
pressure, sell pressure, and at the end we come back into the bandwidth. So this is something what I see as a reversal. And you have a lot of possibilities to trade it. Either you trade, for example, CFDs, or you take a future on it, or you create an option strategy where you say, I'm going to trade the bandwidth, because historically said 85% hit profit rate is that you're going to stay in the bandwidth. And it's actually a normal distribution, and it's adapting the normal distribution. What I like is, even in Corona crisis 2020, we have seen that the Bouhmidi bands are working, and they give you nice signals and shows that normal distribution, even if we have irrational mark movements, can be on the long end still adaptable on markets.
Okay, so when you use options and you have a band range, do you put on strangles where you'll sell the puts underneath the band and sell a strike above the bands, looking
Wonderful.
for it to stay within the bands?
Wonderful, Dale. Really nice explained. Absolutely, that's it.
Okay.
Taking the premium.
Right. Okay. And let's say, really, I have an expression that, options are like relationships. 90% of them expire worthless, but you still need some money management for when the ranges are blown out. And, it's like picking up nickels on the sidewalk for a year, and then all of a sudden a steamroller comes. How do you handle risk management being an option writer with your bands?
Really nice. Either there are two, I'm still in research and development of this really good strategy. But what I do, either you close if you just hit the band, just to reduce your risk, because you have unlimited risk, like you said. Really nice that you really mentioned that. Either you close because you know the profit rate or the hit rate is so big that you will get the days back. So trading in days, saying like, I need 2-3 days back in the bandwidth that I get the loss back. But this is not a risk management, what I would say. I'm hedging with other products if we break through.
Okay. You got a lot of reactions in my Twitter stream by showing how important, I believe it was the first 5 trading days in January are. There's that expression, as January goes, so goes the rest of the year. So what are you looking at here? Do you have to get like a week's full of trading? And then some people look at each candle, or whether it's a bar or a candle, represents a month or so of future potential direction in the market. Tell us how you use your early January trading activity for possibly forecasting or giving you biases for a little longer term.
We talked about it, and I just tweeted it, I think, the day.
Yeah, you got a lot of very good response on that.
Exactly. And how I actually traded, this is something, I'm a conditional trader. And last year it was awesome. I mean, I had an interview on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. One journalist asked me, I think this week, a year ago, Salah, what will happen this year? What is your vision? I said, we are in an election year. Election years are good equity years. And the 5-day effect of January was positive. So there's nothing to say. We will close higher at the end. There was Corona, of course. I never would know that or recommend it. And at the end, we have been in the plus. So what I do, to make a long story short, I will check the 5 days, the next days. And if we close higher, first of all, I take a long-term trade. I take, for example, with IG Turbo 24s with a really small leverage, where I would say, okay, we close higher than the first day. So this might be a positive thing that we go higher because we have, interest rates are at 0. We are printing money as hell. This will of course, feed the markets as well. So I take the conditions. This is a long-term trade that I use with small leverage, small risk, just taking, just participating on this effect. And on the other hand, I take this as a trend direction. So if we will have huge dips like in March last year, remembering back Salah, the 5 days effect was positive. We have chances, the monetary policy is also helping. So then I will just come back to this effect and create a story, positive story, not lying to myself, just saying, hey guy, we had a positive 5-day effect. We have a huge drawdown in the markets. So is that a possibility? Of course it is.
Okay, you know, we really have a lot of one-way sentiment in the dollar, and I'm not sure how you feel about it, but to me, the dollar has driven gains across the board, risk on in equities, higher metals, even higher crypto. A lot of people leaning on one side of the boat. It's starting to get pretty, unanimous. I wouldn't say euphoric, but hard to find a narrative that people talk about that could generate any kind of dollar rally. What's your view on the dollar? The consensus is lower, 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 lower. Could that be interrupted perhaps by maybe a little risk off in the market, or perhaps the euro over 120 begins to impact an already weak European economy with COVID, especially in Europe? What's your view on the dollar? And do you agree that all these other markets, it's kind of like the fulcrum of the wheel and everything spins around that center, which is the dollar?
Yeah, maybe just taking a chart to that. I mean, we have seen nice analysis before, no doubt, but talking without chart is for a technical analyst a bit weird. So going back to the chart, of course, taking it for an hour, for example, as well. And we have seen definitely, no doubt, there is an upward trend, intact, healthy. It's going up higher. Nothing against that. We are creating higher highs, higher lows. Everything is fine. And fundamentally, I just said, a lot of times people ask me that, and I have a really easy story for that. We had Corona, we have massive drawdown in growth, debt is going higher, everything, there's a problem. So you need to get back to the normal reality. You need to have growth as a country. You need to sell your products. You need to go back to where you have been. How can I do that? Easily with devaluating my currency. So I can export much more and I can catch up the economy. The economy can catch up with the markets. So just easily said, from just a really fundamental thing is, I think it's really good for the dollar if it still devaluates, because in this year we need help from stimulus, from other economical power or growth levers, which I would say, and this is something what will definitely give the dollar much more drawdown potential. I think the British pound as well. For me as a European guy, the problem is we are between those both currencies. If they both will still devaluate this year, would have a strong impact on the euro. So we can go shopping in US much cheaper. But on the other hand, we will also have problems because, as you know, Germany is an export nation. And if the euro is much higher, this could also give us some problems here. So the world is actually right now fighting for their exports. So if the
beggar thy neighbor. Yeah. So yeah, this has been going on for a long time, and the dollar is really probably the best sacrificial lamb to keep things going. As you look, here we are in 2021, and I know that most analysts for major brokerage firms like yours, like IG, kind of have a look ahead into 2021. I'm going to request, if you have anything that you are looking at that you're, kind of in the forefront of what you think could be some of the bigger trades or even trend changes, if you see any coming, or is 2021 going to be same as it ever was?
Yeah,
Continued risk on, continued dollar weakness, and everything go up because of dollar weakness.
So yeah, we are in uncertainty. In the time right now is really uncertain, to be honest. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I can see as a trader, of course, I think gold is the risk will still not go down. We will still be in an environment which is a high volatile environment, because there are still problems that are not solved. Yeah, I mean, we have a vaccine, so people are not vaccinated at all. We have mutation of corona. The trade conflict between US and China is still ongoing, maybe now in the background, but not as before. So there are a lot of conflicts that can raise the volatility, can raise uncertainty. But I think gold is still a safe haven that will be bullish as well this year.
Are you okay? So gold's going to be a safe haven, and as far as looking at your Euro chart right here, Salah, do you use RSI, or you just it just happened to be on your trading view charts?
Thank you. I use RSI, and I use the RSI a bit different than maybe generally, like the general standard. I use a 34 period, which is a Fibonacci number.
Oh, interesting.
And I made a statistical analysis, especially for Forex, because I was starting with Forex, that I have a frontier, which is 84.5.
You put in 848.5.
Sorry, exactly. Excuse me.
That's what you put in. You put in 48.5.
48, exactly.
Yeah.
48.5, which is correct. This is my border, let's say. So
interesting.
If we cross from below to the upside, it's saying to me these are bullish signals. So in this time, we are above 48.5.
Never turned down once it turned up. Very interesting number.
Exactly. Yeah. And this was, for example, my really easy signal. I mean, look, I teach a lot of traders because I love to do that, because I was also a teacher on university, and I like to help because I didn't have the help before. I was creating everything by my own, and I know how difficult that is and how much mistakes you are going to do. And of course, mistakes are good. If they are not in real money, you can learn from it. But I want to avoid people from all the mistakes that I did easily. So, of course, I use it as a signal saying, hey, look, like Dale said, it's the first time that I'm going up. Is it significantly? Yes, much more.
And he pulled back to that 48 number and just cleaned up.
Which was always a buying signal as well. If you go back, and we have seen here the moving averages that have also, like the moving average 55, also a Fibonacci cipher. So you see, I like numbers, Fibonacci numbers, 21. Exponential moving average, but the 55 was always support, which gave us signals combined with the RSI. So looking on the RSI and Eurodollar says we are still bullish, and we don't see, at least if we fall below 48.5, 48.5, sorry, that there is still a healthy positive trend.
let me ask you this. Do the non-confirmations of the RSI since early December, when it was confirming the move with the RSI, both momentum and price, making new highs, and then the last couple highs, like December 20th, it was a lower peak in RSI, and then the highs we made last week in the euro was even lower than that. So you have like two non-confirmations on the 4-hour. You know, to me, that's at least a warning signal about being long as momentum continues to deteriorate. Do you interpret it that way?
Correct, correct. We can also see a small, what I would say now, a small divergence that you can see here, right?
Yeah.
This is absolute. I totally agree with you. Thank you for that information, because this is right. This is something what we call is a bearish divergence, right?
Yeah.
So this,
you could even go all the way back to early December. That was the last
correct,
confirmed high. So
absolutely.
we're either going to break out, or maybe we're setting up for some type of correction in here over the coming days. What do you think?
Yeah. I would say we will create a new higher high, which is 123, and then we would maybe, I would see here a small correction, which is absolutely healthy compared to cryptocurrencies. If I would say one thing that I want to say to people that are starting, it was the same mistake that I did in the past. Taking a bunch of indicators into your chart and saying, hey guy, I'm using 10, 9, 8 indicators, which is maybe okay if you can use them. But a lot of people, what I did also as a mistake, they use maybe 10 indicators, 9 of them are oscillators, but they don't know.
Yeah.
So please always be aware, what is this indicator doing? And you can have 10 by using 2 oscillators, 2 trend continuation indicators, 2 volatility indicators, and so on, to have a
great point. Great point. Well, Salah, you survived an interview with me, and do you know what that means?
No.
You're now my new trading warrior brother.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I could tell you're a warrior, self-taught guy that had to, take hits and get off the canvas and keep going. My view is the secret to trading is there is no secret. It's hard work. It's living through adversity and persevering. So thank Mandy for me for suggesting you come on, and what's the best way for people to follow you and perhaps learn from you besides, or with Twitter, you're at Salah Bouhmidi. And is that the best place to find you?
Yeah, it's the best place to find me. I have also a German page, salahbouhmidi.de, where I will implement like the S&P 500 Bouhmidi Bands also here. So this is a test chart that it's my beta version that I can send you over in the chat. Maybe if people are interested, they can also look for it. But of course, just hit me up on Twitter at Salah Bouhmidi. I'm always, you are always welcome for questions, for trading, for everything. This is my passion, like Dale, like everybody of us do. So don't shame, ask. There is never a dumb question.
Oh my God, I say that all the time. Only silly answers.
Exactly.
I knew we were kindred spirits. So I want to thank you very much for kicking off 2021 in F.A.C.E and bringing us, I learned from you that 48 on the RSI is very interesting, and your Bouhmidi bands are very interesting, and really glad that our paths crossed. And I already have you scheduled for March. So we'll be seeing you again in the spring, Salah.
Happy to be there. Thank you so much, Dale. And thank you for invitation.
It was great. Yeah, great meeting you.
Thank you. Stay healthy, everybody. Stay healthy and successful. And we're going to stay in contact, of course.
Yes. And may pips just flood your account in 2021. All right, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. So that's it, everyone, for today. Thank you for being here. And Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Let's have a great 2021 together. Adios.